how my cash cow business forced me to go into real estate. That's the topic for today's episode. And without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Novarise, your channel for financial education. So today we're going to talk about what to do with your money when you're generating so much of it that you don't know what to do and you're looking to save more money on taxes. So to cover that topic today, we have a very special guest. He is a business owner of a tire shop, popularly known as the Cash Cows, and he's also a real estate investor. So what we're going to have him do is come into the show and share his expertise with you, all the things that he has done to take his business to the next level, and then how he transitioned from that into becoming a real estate investor. So without further ado, let's welcome Rudy Avila. And here we are with our special guest, Rudy Avila. Rudy, welcome to our channel.
Hello.
So Rudy, we were talking about mastery, right? So like the book from Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, he mentioned that it takes roughly about 10,000 hours to master a specific skill. And it seems that that's what you did all throughout your childhood, all the way up to who you are today. So can you walk us a little bit through how you happened to become you and how you became the best at what you do today?
Sure. So when I was small, my dad started taking me to the shop, the tire shop, and he would just have me be there in the beginning, and then after he started to have me do a little bit of things, and then slowly I got into like organizing, which is mainly the organizing the tires, and then when you start learning the numbers, you start putting them into the right places, and then from there, then you want a little bit more. So then around age 13 is when I started mounting and dismounting tires, and so that right there was the real like start when it comes to like really helping out at the shop what's needed to do when it comes to lifting cars and all the necessities they got to do at the shop. So from there, he started bringing me like after school because now I can do the work. Right. So like in middle school, after middle school, he'll take me, and then we get a little older. Like after high school, after he started taking me, and then by then, as a freshman, I mean, I was already really good at the tires, and then I went to like 1 year, like let's say football, and like it took away like a year, and it felt really like weird for me, like not working. Like it was very like. So after that, then I was like, forget this, I'm gonna go back to work. So then after like the rest of high school, now I felt like I wanted to do it even more because it was like I know I was like not making that money in the whole football time, but then I was like, okay, well, the open más ganas, I'm gonna go harder. And so I did that. And so it was after high school, we would put a lot of hours and we just continued with it. And then after high school, we went on to full time. I went into full time, just really, really like just doing everything when it comes to like what was needed with the shop. And that's where, that's when we just started rolling with the whole, many hours a day. The shop was open 6 days a week back then, and it was just a lot of grinding, a lot of like putting in that work, like they say, and so yeah, so that's how I started. It was really like when I was small, like that work ethic that my dad he put into me. And then when I got a little older, I understood like how important work was, and then I started doing it on my own. Like putting in like a lot of will into it, and then so like then after that we did many hours. I did many hours and that's how we did that. Like a lot of learning on your own too, like the different sizes, the different cars. Getting these tires from like all over the places, and so now when like you get like now the more different style of tires, like the wider tires, and now that was like my thing. pretty much. So that was like, that's what I'm shooting for. Like, I'm going for like the harder, like the little niche things, like the things that really that wasn't done at the shop, and the things that were like that a lot of shops weren't doing also at that time.
Right, right. So it sounds like everything started off at a really young age, and that actually set the pattern. It set the like you said, the work ethic in you. And then even when you were pulled away from it and you were sent back to school, you're like, I feel like my life is missing something. So you were missing the, like you said,
Yes.
the grinding, the work, because you
Yes.
wanted to be the best at what you do, and you like
Yes.
making money as well, which they both
Yeah.
complement one another.
Right.
So now that you managed to niche down everything, and you turned the tire shop around based on conversations that we have before. When you took over, like you did what you could to either automate it or like create more efficiencies around it, and now all of a sudden your tire shop, it's running effectively. It's safe to assume 24/7, right? But
Right.
then at that point in time, you mentioned that everything was running smoothly, almost perfectly, and you felt lost, right? Like let's just
Yeah.
talk about that for a moment, because
Okay. Yeah.
a lot of people feel, okay, so once I make it to the top, I can just sit back and relax. But in your case, you sat back and relaxed, but then you realize, like, as a true entrepreneur, that you dislike that because it felt either boring, or maybe you felt like, hey, this isn't what life is supposed to be. So walk
Right.
us through what that was like for you, and what did you wind up finding out afterwards?
So at that point, the shop really busy. Uh, Everything you could want from a business, it was there. Even after that, I mean, now, but at that point, like looking back, had goals of everything. You have goals of income, of how much tires you want to move, or how much inventory, how many customers you wanted, and so hitting those goals long term and getting to that like place where you think I want to be at, right?
Mhm.
It was for me. It was like a scary moment. Like it was. It was just like, okay, like what's next, as in the business life, right? What's next after this? Like, I mean, once you hit all your goals, you get everything what you want. Like even what personal life was, for me, was the cars. I had like a lot of cars and build them and all that, and they were good too. But um, it was like, what what's next? Like there is no next in a way like that. All you do is just like keep growing that until, I mean, yeah, you can keep growing, but slowly. But it was like,
It wasn't
what
fulfilling for you anymore.
yeah, like yeah, it was like what, and so it was like that for like 2 years.
Oh,
It was
wow.
just, yeah, it was a long period of time, and I just didn't know what to do next. And so you start thinking, okay, well, how about like another business, right?
Right.
So then I started looking into franchises. So I started, if you look online, there's like this like websites that you get into that like they start sending you a lot of franchises that they sell, or not them, but like the franchises sell, try to sell you, which is like, there's three different types I will see. Like the very inexpensive ones that if you get those, you're like, you do all the work, like everything. So, and then the middle ones, you kind of have a little like freedom, but you still got to be there a lot of times. I say like subways and stuff like that, like
Right.
the pizza shops. And, I was, yeah, that was my thing, was like the pizza shops. I was like, man. And so like, and then you got the very expensive franchise, ones like 500,000, like
Wow.
that. Those you don't really got to be in. Those are the ones that like solid ones that you got to run. But it was like looking digging into that, looking what interests me, and then at the same time I was looking into real estate. 'Cause as a kid I saw my dad have properties, and so I was like, okay, the real estate, you make a lot less than the businesses. But the businesses is like super hands-on, and I'm so busy at the shop, and it's already going great. And so I was thinking, well, let's say I have like a delivery business and they break down, I got to go and help them out and then come back to the business. And I was thinking, whatever I gotta go and then I gotta come back, it's just taken away from my shop. Like the attention is needed and all that, and you have to do that, and like because it's not like you can hire a manager at that point to like go handle all that, like unless you're bigger. So,
Right.
but it was not gonna be like that for me. It was gonna be like a smaller business, right? So the other one was the real estate. Like you don't have to be there. It was just like you set it up once, and it pays you potentially for life and
Forever.
forever. However long you want it, until you want to sell it or give it away or whatever you want to do. So that one was very interesting. So like it made smaller amounts of money, but you can scale that to however big you want to be, and you can keep buying and buying and buying, and it's not gonna take away from like my time at the shop and doing good. And so I keep digging, and I saw this was a lot better for me, and it was just time for me to like move on. It was just time to go into the real estate.
So the whole journey to discover what was exciting you next took somewhere about 2 years. And it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of us are always thinking about making it to the top, making it to the top. And once you are to the top, you really think that you're just going to sit back and relax. But being on the top, just enjoying everything to come in, it's actually very boring. Like you might enjoy it maybe for like a couple of weeks, but then after that, you're like, I feel like my brain it's like dying. Like I need more adventure. So it seems like you, just like every other entrepreneur, you went through the same thing. And what's even more interesting about your childhood is that you're kind of like the living version of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? So your dad
Mhm.
introduced you to his business at a really young age, and then you saw him having real estate and all of this stuff. But then I remember when we talked about things before coming to the interview together, that you decided to do things a little bit different than your dad, because your dad used to have the real estate, but he wasn't renting it. So he was working very hard and just to pay off the properties, but they weren't generating any cash flow for him. But then on your side, you thought, okay, I want to keep generating more cash flow. I want to keep growing here and also monetarily. And so you weigh your options and you decided that the franchisees were actually not a good business model for you because it will take time away from your tire shop, which that was your core business, right? So you can have many passive businesses, but you can only have one active business. So at least you got that clear from the get-go. And then you decided to do real estate, but you know, different from your dad. You took advantage of the perks that having real estate brings you, the appreciation, the depreciation, but this time you decided to make it cash flow for you. So we talked about, when you started going into real estate, and you mentioned that you work or you did whatever you could to place whatever maximum amount of tenant that was legally possible into the property. So can you share with everybody how you find those properties or the land? Because you even mentioned you even flip land around. So just tell us or share with everybody a little bit about your real estate adventures and how you actually came about them and how you even got those ideas.
Sure. So someone I knew was driving by this uh, a city I know really good. It's about an hour or not 45 minutes away from here, and they saw this piece of land for sale by owner, and
Right.
they let me know, and I want to go check it out. And it was a person who had a acre property, his house, and so he subdivided it in half. He kept, half acre, and the other half acre he wanted to sell. So
Hmm.
uh, I saw it, and I just love the location, great location, and I called the guy. We set up a date. I want to go meet him. We talked, and he said, "Yeah, so this is what happened. I subdivided my parents' house, but now it's my house, and I'm gonna sell this." And I was like, "All right, I'm interested." We talked about the price. He had his own like purchase agreement when it comes to the seller and buyer, and
Right.
he's like, "We can do it right now." I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it."
Oh.
And we started talking about the price. We negotiated the price. Uh, got it into escrow, and 30 days later it was my property. So then the property, so it was subdivided. There was no line in between both properties. There was, and also there was no entrance to the street. So then I was like, the first thing I got to do is make an entrance. I can worry about the fence later on the side of the property. He said, take your time. So, but I wanted to make the front entrance. So at the shop, my dad, he hired some guys to work on the shop. And this is in the past. And I asked him, hey, do you know anybody that can, build me a fence? But it was a brick, nice entrance. I wanted a big, grand one. And he's like, yeah, I know these guys. And so he gave me the number, called the guys up, and then went to go see the property. And then they said, okay, how do you want it? And it was like, okay, I drew it on the paper. And then they're like, all right, cool. Yeah, it's going to, cost you this much. These materials, how do you want to do it? I'm like, okay, well, I'd rather go buy the materials myself because I'm in the learning stages. This is like I'm turning into real estate. So
Right.
Sounds good. Let's go and let's do it. So I would go to Home Depot with them, buy all the materials, have them delivered there, and they would work. And they need something, we would go. I would go, or they would go and tell me what to buy. And so little by little, it was like a transition. Because my whole life, for example, I was going into the auto parts, so the cars. My whole life was always building cars. When I was also growing up as a kid, my dad had another mechanic shop next to it. I grew up doing mechanic work, right? So then I knew a lot about cars, all the suspension, all the mufflers, alignments, and so I knew about cars. So my whole life I was going to auto parts. Now when I grew up, I was going into like the Home Depots, buying those type of materials, which is like a brand new thing though. Like it was like I would never go to Home Depot back then. We just like to buy like those supplies or like lights or something. But then it was like, okay, now we get the lumber, the materials, the concrete and all that stuff. So then
it's been very exciting.
It was exciting. It was very exciting, and it was a big old learning curve because I knew nothing about that stuff. I was in the automotive business. I had nothing to do with the housing business, right? So then he would take me, and we would say, okay, this is what this is what it is, and this is a Hardy bag, and this is that. And I was like, okay, cool, like let's buy it and take it over there. But in this case, it was the fence we're building, so it was the brakes we were picking the brakes. And so it was a lot of like going back and forth to the city because I was very active. And it was pretty close to me anyways, 45 minutes, like I mentioned. And from there, we built the fence. Fast forward, got the whole iron guy, and we built the big old fence, nice entrance, and it was like done, right? So then the next one was the sidewall. But the guy who owned the house, he kind of didn't want to do like a nice, like I wanted a nice one. He didn't want to do it. So we just kind of like waited. And from there, I was like, okay, well, what's next? Like, okay, well, we got to build a house because this is going to be a land, right? And so I started looking into like building a house, and it just like, forget it. Like this, you can really get screwed over if you don't know what you're doing building a house. Like a big old black hole is like, and I was like a super rookie then. I was like, I'm not doing this, you know what I mean?
Best
so then I'm
time
like,
for
okay,
learning.
so yeah, I'm ready to learn how to build Home Depot, and I'm not gonna build a house. So then I thought, okay, well, how can I get into get tenants fast? So I thought, okay, well, I'll just sell it and get me a property that's already built, and I fix it up. And so then that's what I did. I got information because I learned about a 1031 when my dad did it many years ago. And so I said, okay, well, can I do a 1031 from our land to a house? And so, yes, I learned we can.
Look at that.
So
Best
then
thing
I
to
was
learn
like,
is
okay.
by doing.
Yes, exactly. So then I contacted my realtor I, kind of knew. Put it for sale. We put it for a certain price. And then that's another thing I learned. So we put it for another price, for a price, and then someone came right away. I think it was just he didn't even put it for like on the MLS. He just put a sign in the front. And again, it was a great location. Someone drove by, saw it, and they wanted to buy it. So then
How long before it got sold?
man, it was really like 2-3 weeks
Oh
when they put
wow,
the
that was
sign. It was
fast.
really
Yeah.
fast, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then the realtor was handling the whole transaction. And I now thinking back, I'm not sure if the buyer had a 1031 also, or they just had a lot of cash in the bank. But
Either
my
way, it
real
worked out for you.
yeah, the realtor was my realtor was like, hey, you better jump on this. People are interested, and I mean, he was the first guy. So then, like that guy, I guess, yeah, all right, cool, I'll buy it, and he offered me like a good amount more money than we asked for. Like this is the price, and he offered this, and I was like, okay, I said. So then we went to escrow. Took time because he went out of the country or something. He came back. He paid the lot. I-1031 exchange, and then now it's held into a fund, a bank account. So you locate your next 3 properties.
Right.
So then it's there sitting, and then I'm looking, and I'm okay. Well, I like the big land. I want to get something similar or bigger, right? So then fast forward, I look. Again, when you're looking for properties, I recommend you look at least 100 properties. Like,
Yeah.
you just gotta take your time, and that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at least 100, and I did. I probably looked at 200 properties, but online, not like go see them, right?
Well, I know, but even
Yeah,
200 properties,
it was a long
a lot
time.
of people,
It was
sometimes
a long
we
time.
hear in the comments, we read on the YouTube channel, they say, oh, I've looked at like 10 houses and they're all
Yeah,
so expensive. And I'm like, 10
yeah,
houses? But
yeah,
you've got to look at least 100. In your case, you looked at
yeah,
200, and even
yeah,
then, it didn't meet your criteria. Houses, there's plenty out there in the
yeah.
market, but one that actually meets your investing criteria,
Right.
those you have to look with a magnifying glass.
Yes, and you're only looking for one. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like you gotta like 10 and okay, no, you're looking for one. You want to pick the best one out of those, whatever you look at. And after work, after the shop, I'll come and just computer and just look, so okay, well,
Look at you
but
all
I would,
excited.
yeah, I was very excited. Of course, like that money was just there, I want to spend it, So, I was looking at how I can be creative with the property. That was my thing, creativity. What can I do with it? So I found a place. It meant everything, and it meant everything what I was looking for. It was actually a mobile home. It's a single wide, but it was weird. It was like 2 single wides put together by the old owner. So it's big, but it's actually 2 single wides. It's not a double wide. So
What do
I
you
said,
mean by single and double? For Because we
sorry.
have
So
people from all kinds of levels, so that way they can,
yes. So in if you go to mobile home parks,
Mhm.
you see homes there. Somebody owns the land, and people own the houses, and
Right.
so there's mainly 2 different types of homes in mobile home parks, uh, and one is the skinny long ones, and then 2 is like the fatter ones, the square ones. So it's kind of like
Okay.
one is like a rectangle, and then the other one's like 2 of those rectangles put together, but it turns into like a square.
I
And
see.
that's the best I can describe it. It's
Okay.
double wide, two homes put together, and single wide just like one home. So it's less square footage. So that property had 2 of them put together like in a weird way, but it looked bigger. But it is bigger, but it's really 2 of those guys put together like in a Mickey Mouse way, right? So.
No.
But I liked it, and I liked the land. It was an acre, so now I had more room to do things what I wanted, and it was already fenced. So I gotta make. I mean, it was a small entrance, but I made it a bigger one when I got it. I got that thing. Started cleaning up. It was a lot of cleaning up. It was like so much trash. It was so expensive to fix. So we got it all cleaned up real nice. It looked very nice when it was all empty and just a home. And the trees, I mean, I got a tree guy that cut it real nice, and I mean, had like this big old like palm tree,
A palm
and
tree?
yeah, a bunch of trees around it that we left nice, real nice. And so then I was like, okay, now we gotta move forward. Now we gotta work on this project. At the same time, I was buying another property. So that other property, it was just your conventional duplex, and that one had an acre and a half. That was even
Wow.
bigger than this right here.
So
So
you not only went for the property in itself, so like the mobile home park and the duplex, but you were also keeping in mind to get as much square footage on the land as possible. So like
yeah,
everything you bought was like an acre and on.
yeah, because I mean, Hispanics, Mexicans, queremos un rancho, you know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
fucking go for the rancho. So then that was like my rancho right there. But I'm gonna make that cash flow, right? So
Right. Right.
the second one was more of a I'm gonna get a loan, and that was like a true stick build. Stick build means they build it from the ground up with woods, contractors, everything, and so that one was a house, right? But it was duplex, right? So then I'm doing that, but I'm just saying that that's another story. But so that one also think about creativity, what's going on with like the whole city. It's a different city. That one's in a different city. So back to the story of the land, I was like, okay, well, I want to get multiple tenants. The way I did it was uh, I first fixed up the house that needed the single wide.
Right.
It was ready. So then now whoever's gonna work on the property can like stay there and have the things there safe. And now there's light, and now there's water, and restrooms, and So then uh, we started. I got this. I bought this real nice travel trailer. The ones you pull with your truck, and I put it next to the property, next to, not so close, but like next, so then I can
Somewhere
run
nearby. Mm-hmm.
the plumbing, the sewer system, the plumbing, right? So then we got the electrical that runs the house, and we got the water, right? The runs the house, and it was like this little like outside patio thing. What I did was I converted it. I made it into like a room, but the room is for laundry. So I
Oh.
plumbed it, so I have two laundry dryers and two washers there, and we got two heaters. And so like I did that. So then, when you have everything together like that, and I got like two units, I have to like pay for all the utilities, right? So then I got a tenant, and then I got another tenant, and then I'm paying for the utilities. But of course, you just increase the rent. That's how you cover the utility part.
Right.
And I still continue to build. I started building like this big fence in the front. I started building this big fence in the back. And then in the back, I had this like real nice area for like for myself, but it was like for the cars. My cars, I didn't have the space. So I started putting the car. But it was really nice the way I did it. I started putting like the rocks on the floor, real clean, and so like there's a barn in the back, and then so like I can have my stuff there, and then it was too nice for my paying for my cars. My cars lived for like a year, and then I was like, well, you know what? Let's continue to work. I mean, I rest a little bit. So I bought two more big travel trailers. I lined them up a certain way. I plumbed them this time all the way to the street, and and then I made a bigger, like I had 100 amp box. I turned it into a 200 amp box. It can handle all the power you want. So then, again, so the whole thing was the same thing as the first one, and then I'm ready to find new tenants again. So then I have more rent, more to
Wow.
rent right there. And by the way, this whole area, like the whole area is very similar, like where I'm at with my property. Like around there is like people have a whole bunch of trash in the back, or like all these cars in the back, and people. I mean, so like all this stuff that they just collect, and so like mine just like did it fit in right with the whole neighborhood. Like no one like, and they have trailers. A lot of people have like this trailers too, and motorhomes, and so mine was like the same thing like them, but I decided to rent them out. So yeah, so we got those in, and that's pretty much it with that at that time. I can continue on. I got this idea, buying storage containers, 40 foot wide, high cubes, um, and I want to place them in the back of the property. I bought four of them, lined them up,
All
you know,
within the same property, or
in
is
the
this?
same property.
Oh, look at that.
So again, all this stuff it takes a lot of time. So like I have to every single
Of
time I
course.
want to go meet with the guy. It's how you want to line up and help him line it up, and so it takes like weeks and weeks, like everything to like go on. So lined up, and then I have a friend who does the same thing. That he has a lot of these containers, so he has contracts. So like the contract for the homes, the tenants. First of all, you got to always get a contract. Don't never get a tenant. Get into your
Right.
property with on contract, and I never messed up on that part. Like when it comes to me, but I get you can buy those. I would buy them like at Staples or what is it called, the Office Depots. those are good enough for the California contracts. I would do that with those tenants, but this one, it was completely different. Well, where do you get this at? I told my friend, hey, can you help me out with this? Do you have a contract I can use? He's like, yeah, here you go. He sent it to me. Storage container contract, beautifully written. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. And so I started like posting up online. I have like many groups on Facebook that, it's like this for sale by owner, yard sales, those sell your things online. And I started putting on there. I have, in the nearby area, I have containers for rent. Right away. I didn't know it's hiding, man. Those things fill up fast, and it was just like people were trying to, hey, you got more? And I'm like, no, but I'll save your number. I'll send it to my friend too, but it's kind of far. And this is like at least 45-minute drive or 1 hour drive from here where I'm at the property. So, but I had them backups, and so yeah, I rented those out like really easy. When it comes down to rent, you just again you got to meet with them and.
Yeah, no, it's just such a beautiful story. I'm sure you heard in Spanish a saying that goes, "El que busca encuentra," right? So
yeah,
whoever's seeking will find something, and you were just you're seeking for your next adventure. And you said, you know what, my adventure with the tire shop, it's done. I did what I had to do. I grew.
Yeah.
And then once you figure out that real estate, what's your path, like your eyes lit up. Even telling the story, I can still, you're by far one of the very few people who talks about real estate. And then this happened, and then this happened, and that happened with a smile. Cause like sometimes, dealing with like the story might seem easy, but I know that making all of that happen, it took, some work and some interactions with a couple of people here and there. And it was so beautiful the way you started up, because you went into this land. That was your first project, and you knew right from the get-go that location was the most important key. And then after that, you thought about how can I add value, right? And then you realized that the land didn't really had an entrance. So like, hey, it doesn't have an entrance. How can people make it in, right? That's the number one thing. So you built the entrance to it, you fenced it, and then you realized, you know what? I don't have the experience. So you knew when to get out. Sometimes, sadly, people go all the way in. They don't measure when it's time for them to get out because they don't really have an exit strategy in place. But yours, even though you didn't have it, by the time you hit that exit strategy, what could be one, you decided to just get out and do something that will make you a lot more comfortable. And along the journey, you enjoy, right? You went to Home Depot, you learned all about buying lumber, building materials, construction. It's like going to Disneyland, but for real estate. And then after that, you transfer your money, you did a 1031, but then you focus on what was most important, right? So you had the land at this point, 1 acre and on, and then you had the properties, and then you figured out, okay, how can I make this property more valuable? So you added a space for laundry, and then immediately you place the tenants in there, right? So like you're thinking right away, cash flow. Like I can have this property here, but I can't just continue to keep paying money out of my pocket. I need to make it productive so that way I can be comfortable. And then you had a little fun with it. So you had your tenants, you place your toys in there, you did your cars, and you loved it. And then after a while, you're like, you know what? So like, that's the habit that we want everybody to get in this channel. Like you could leave your toys there forever, but then you realize there's so much potential in there. Why not just turn it into something else? And boom, that's when you decided to turn it into self-storage, and it all got rented right away. It's just, sometimes it's just so simple, but then it's complicated. People make it complicated. Like you, in your case, you just went in there, you did it, and you just follow what was right. Never place a tenant without a contract. Same thing with a lease for a storage container, right? You also need to place a lease in there because, hey, you never know. So you're always legally protected. It's just, I'm amazed and not amazed, but like really wild at your story, because you just simply, you said, this is what I want to do, and let me just go and do it. But sadly, sometimes people spend so much time trying to figure out what's the right path, and then making this, overly complex business plan. Let's just do it this way and do it this way. And they spend so much time on the planning, and then in the end, they never do anything with it. But in your case, you planned for something, a couple of steps that get you going. And then once you got into doing whatever is it that you were doing, You just figure it out along the way. So that's the adventures of a true entrepreneur, a beautiful way on how you actually shaped everything beautifully to, you know, what it wind up being today. So you save money on taxes because you were able to do a 1031, and then you were able to still maintain your current lifestyle, maintain your tire shop, and then still learning, because I'm sure you still have a lot of other projects down the road that you were telling me about, which will that will be a topic for another episode. So Rudy, let me ask you something now, and thank you once again for sharing, you know, your entire journey for everybody who's tuning in. Is there anything you would like to share with any young entrepreneur who's tuning in today, or maybe somebody who's ready to leave, you know, their 9 to 5 and taking a leap of faith into, you know, the life of an entrepreneur? What are some of the things that you will like them to know that you wish you knew back then that now you know, and you know, spread the love with them?
I would say with when it comes to business, I got this from Art Williams, but first of all, you need a minimum of skill and a minimum of some work ethic to get in to do the business. So 50% of the people, you know, because you're in a battlefield when it comes to the business. You're gonna win 50% of the time by just showing up. You're just there, even though you're like, man, what am I gonna do? You know, but you're there. But that's 50% of the battle, right? So then, I would say the next 40% when it comes to business, like it's being a nice person and being, you know, being ethical, right? And
Doing things
doing the
right.
right thing. And so if you have, you know, like again, the basic skills is you got skills and then you got work ethic and then you show up to work and then you handle the customers very nicely. I think that's 90% of the battle right there. And so like the last 10% is the dogfight. And you know, now that's when you have your little niches. You get into like how like your style of business of like, okay, this is like my service and this is my magic recipe, you know. So I would say that's for the business. I would say when it comes to real estate, don't be afraid to put all your money in it, a lot of money in it, because that money is there. You didn't lose it. It went away from your bank account, but it's in the property now. But it went up in value because then now you have something that works and someone that's gonna pay you for that thing that works. You brought value to someone else. And so, but the money's still there. The money's still there. It didn't go nowhere. By the way, you're still working. You know, I was doing this whole thing only on Sundays because on Sundays I close at 2 at the shop. I was working 7 days a week and close on Sunday at 2s. And then
Wow.
from there, I'll go to the land. I'll go to and drive out there. And but the guys are all working on it. But I'm going and you know, so
That's what I call
uh,
passion.
yeah, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm like, man, let's just let's just do it. So when you're out there and you gotta buy more things and buy more things, paying these guys and paying, so like it's there, the money's there, it's invested as well, and it's not gonna go away unless you sell it. You get get your money back or
Right.
more or.
But you
But
said something that was very key. You part the money there and you added value. You didn't just leave
yeah,
it there and let it run. Like you
right,
made
right,
it even more valuable. Like for
yeah,
example, adding the entrance, or like with the other properties, you added a
yeah,
laundry room. It's always about creating value and making
yeah,
people happy. When you improve their lives, then their lives are improved, and you get to get the cash flow, right?
yeah, yeah. That's your pay. Now you can do whatever you want with cash flow. So, which in this case, hopefully more into real estate, right? But more into things that make more money. But yeah, I will say, yeah, just don't be afraid to put the money in the property. Don't be afraid of investing in the business or whatever you're doing because the money's there. It's just growing, and you're gonna get it back later on. Sooner or later, it's gonna come back.
And you're going to get something even more valuable from that, which is the lessons that you get from doing things, right?
Exactly, and you learn every time you do something new. You learn, and you get better with time at what you're doing, and then you be more efficient next time. Now, next time it costs me cheaper. Uh, Now, next time, like I can decrease my expenses like in this way or in that way, or now I can make it cash flow a bit more by doing this or by doing that. But it comes with time. Like you don't know it at the time you're doing it, but once you're there at that step, then a new step opens up. Okay, now I can do this, I can do that. And it's gonna require more money, yes.
Yeah.
But again, don't be afraid of just like pump it all in because it's gonna come back even more. So
There you go. That's the spirit. For those who actually want to stay in contact with Rudy, Rudy has the YouTube channel, right? So you're seeing it right now on the screen. So for those who want to get in touch with him, feel free to reach out to him or subscribe to his YouTube channel and just check out what Rudy is up to these days. So Rudy, thank you so much for your time. We truly, truly appreciate you sharing your journey with us. And I hopefully this won't be the last interview that we do together. And until then, I'll see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you.